Right, right. So I have a question. Now, this is going to be totally ignorant because I know the answer, but I need to ask it for people that are listening also.
Mhm.
There's no characteristics of you that come out at all in this baby, correct?
Correct. Absolutely not. There's nothing about this baby that's mine at all. This is not my egg. This is not my husband's sperm. There's nothing at all related to us.
But what about, the time that it's been in you and all the things that it's eaten because of you or the experiences of being in you and the things that you've experienced that has no effect on the baby?
I mean, we don't know for 100% certain, what a newborn comes out thinking or feeling.
Hmm.
But in both of these situations, especially now that my first surrogate baby is, basically 3 years old, she's perfectly happy with her family. You would never know that I don't think there's anything in her that misses me or knows me or,
Got it.
there's nothing like that. These parents, they take their baby and they do anything that a normal parent would do when they have a baby and they love on that baby and they make it it's their own baby and they make it their own with their family and, their experiences.
Right. Now I've got to ask, how does your husband feel about all this? I mean, it seems like you've been pregnant for a long time while you guys have been married.
You know,
Is he happy for it to be over? Did it affect your marriage at all?
it did not affect our marriage. Because I literally spoke about this for many, many years. Like, I mean, we were literally dating when I said, I want 4 kids one day and I would love to be pregnant for somebody else. The 4 kid thing, he was like, okay, like maybe two, maybe we'll compromise on three. It's one of those things. And I was like, no, I still want one more. So he always kind of like joked around and said, like, okay, I said three, but we compromised on four.
Mm,
And then it was time for me to actually want to pursue surrogacy. And like he literally heard me talk about it, but when it actually came time, he literally looked at me one day and he's like, wait, like you're really serious about this? He thought it was crazy. He's like, I thought it was just like something like in your head. And I was like, no, like I really want to do this. No, my husband is so fantastic. He helped me do the research. He helped me look into, he wanted to make sure that I was safe first and foremost. His main concerns were about me and my health and my safety and the fact that we have 4 kids and he didn't want anything to happen to me.
mhm.
So that was scary for him, but he was absolutely 100% on board. That's super important to have your partner on board. You need that support. You
Yeah,
can't get into this without support. If you were on bed rest, if you had complications, like you need to know 100% that your partner is there for you.
right.
Um, and they're a big part of this process. They have to go through blood work. They have to go through interviews, psychological evaluations. They're a big part of it.
Oh,
So
right. Yeah.
yeah, so my
So,
husband was
and does it ever affect the partner or the husband or the wife or whatever, to watch their spouse have to give away a child, even though you didn't want to raise another one? I mean, it's got to be emotional in some way.
no, we laugh because we're like we that's the time like he looks forward to. He's like, okay, we're not bringing any babies home. We're done. Here you go. Like have your baby. Now you get to like do the wake ups at night and all that.
Got it. Got
So
it.
no, he gets emotional for me. Like he knows it's a hard time just postpartum for me to, at that point, basically for like 2 weeks. It's just the normal postpartum. Your hormones literally just drop. So
Mm,
not even just surrogacy related, like with my own kids, like all of a sudden you just start crying for no reason. You're like,
yeah.
and they're laughing, like, why am I crying? Like I'm just, so you still go through all that. And it's so important. Like he was always there for me. He's literally my rock, my support. He got me through my labors and my births and he's always been there for me. And he always reminds me that this too shall pass. And sure enough, it does. A few days later, you're back to feeling like yourself again.
Yeah.
Minus being a little tired because again, I'm waking up pumping overnight. But other than that, like
And
my
when you pump, are you giving that milk to the family?
yes. So I basically send it weekly. They live in the city, so it's not too far and it's really nice. I can just ship it ground and it's there the next day. I usually give them about 250 to 300 ounces a week at this point,
Oh,
and then
wow.
they could freeze it and give it to the baby. Yeah.
And then what will your relationship be going forward? Is that something that you guys have to talk about before you even get into this relationship?
Yeah, so I knew with the first one that it would be more like you're just getting a couple of pictures here and there, maybe a few texts a year, basically. Um, I can see them on Instagram, so I can kind of like, keep tabs that way too. So it's not, we have a really nice relationship, and when we do speak, it's really nice, but it's not something that we're like talking every day or every week or anything like that. It's just,
Right. It's not like you're babysitting.
correct, correct. And I'm totally fine with that. I was going into it, I was fine with whatever they wanted. for
Okay.
both of these journeys. I'm not doing this to make a friend. I'm not doing this to be in this baby's life. I'm doing this to help create a family, bring a child into the world for a family so they can have their life. So this family I communicate a little bit more with. Of course, it's still pretty fresh. I'm not even 6 weeks out yet.
Yeah.
And because I'm still like shipping the milk and everything, we do speak more, not as much as when I was pregnant. But I see the pictures and I get to see this little guy growing, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
Right. Oh, I love that.
A
And
little
did
bit.
you have, what sex did you have each time?
First was a girl and the second was a boy.
Oh, wow. Amazing. And can they pick? Is that how they?
You could, so the embryos are usually graded and tested to see what sex they are. So you could pick if they wanted to. Both of mine did pick. But you don't have to. You could just let the clinic pick for you and just pick a good healthy one.
Got it. Okay. Explain the job of this for me, though. Like, did you have a separate job while you were doing this, or can you make enough money doing this that this is a full-time job?
I mean, it depends on your financial, uh, what you consider enough for your
Mhm.
living circumstances. I did not go into this for money. I do not need the money. I did this really truly for, good intentions in my heart. Now, does the money help and is the money nice? Absolutely. Everybody's comp is going to be a little bit different. That's another matching point. So you can, put a number out there and then you basically have to find somebody that's willing to pay whatever you're looking for. So
And is that partially set by the agency and they take a fee from that?
the agency does take a fee from whatever is agreed upon. Not
Mhm.
not from the surrogate's comp, but the agency does take it their own fees out of everything.
Okay.
Um, so sorry, what was the
I was
question?
just asking about, if people are interested about how much you make and who pays the costs, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, so the you could do it for free. You could do, absolutely for free. You would just want everything paid for as far as the pregnancy, prenatal vitamins, all your doctor, the care, the cost, the co-pays, like all that kind of stuff. No matter what you get as far as the compensation, all these things are covered by the intended parents. All the
Okay.
IVF medications, are cash pay. Um, if
What
they are,
if the surrogate doesn't have insurance?
the intended parents can get a insurance for them.
Oh,
There's
they can.
special that they can get for the surrogate. I happen to have surrogacy friendly insurance. However, that does not kick in until you are released to your OB. So everything as far as the IVF related part is all cash pay.
Okay.
And then once you're released to your OB, you can put everything through insurance.
But the family pays for everything.
The family pays for everything.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you're called the surrogate. Do they have a name or they're just the family?
The parents. I know I've been throwing that out. So they're the intended parents throughout the
Intended.
process. Yes. And then the baby's born, obviously they're the parents. So
Okay. And can you tell me what the range is of what agencies charge for a surrogate?
So it's really not what the agency is charging. Each agency is going to have their own fee of what they charge for the agency. But as far
Oh,
as surrogates go, I mean, first timers are going to make less than a repeat surrogate. There's such a wide number out there that you could start, say, 30,000. I'm seeing for first timers now around 60,000. It could be more, it could be less. Repeat surrogates, it could be like 60 to 100. It all depends on the situation, the carrier, what they agree upon.
so the intended family is looking at anywhere from, let's say, zero if they're getting a free person to 100,000 plus any additional costs.
Correct. So you have to add in legal fees. Each party gets their own lawyer. So the
Okay.
surrogate gets to pick her attorney, the intended parents pick their attorney. Again, that's all covered by the intended parents. The agency fees, the clinic fees. I mean, in the end, I would guess it would be like 150 to 200,000.
Okay, got it. But
Yeah.
obviously very worth it for a family that hasn't been able to have a
You could
child
try and go
of their own.
independently if you want to. It just might take a little bit more time to find a surrogate. There's different ways to go about it. You don't have to spend that, it doesn't have to be that much, but it is a very costly thing for somebody to have a baby this way.